Hello, my darlings. Thank you for joining me today. Before we begin, I would like for us to take a moment and relax and let the worries from the day drift away. Relax your whole body, whether you're lying down or sitting up, but close your eyes. Flex your fingers, flex your toes. Just take a moment and just relax. I'm bad about relaxing myself, so while I read to you today, I'm going to relax as well. Today's reading is Rumpelstiltskin by the Brothers Grimm. I was excited to get to this one. It has a special place in my memory. As a kid, we'll see how this translates. Because as you know, the Brothers Grimm stories are far different than the stories we're told by Disney. And again, as a special treat in the background, I have some fireplace sounds so I can be warm and you could be warm with me. Now, close your eyes and let's get on with the story. Once there was a miller who was poor, but who had a beautiful daughter. Now it happened that he had to go and speak to the king, and in order to make himself appear important, he said to the king, "I have a daughter who can spin straw into gold." The king said to the miller, "This is an art which pleases me well. If your daughter is as clever as you say, bring her tomorrow to my palace, and I will put her to the test." And when the girl was brought to him, he took her into a room which was quite full of straw, gave her a spinning wheel and a reel, and said, "Now set to work. And if by tomorrow evening you have not spun the straw into gold during the night, you must die." Thereupon, he himself locked up the room and left her in it alone. So there sat the poor miller's daughter, and for the life of her, he could not tell her what to do. She had no idea how straw could be spun into gold, and she grew more and more frightened, until at last she began to weep. But all at once the door opened, and in came a little man who said, "Good evening, Mistress Miller. Why are you crying so?" "Alas," answered the girl, "I have to spin straw into gold, and I do not know how to do it." "What will you give me," said the man, "if I do it for you?" "My necklace," said the girl. The little man took the necklace, seated himself in front of the wheel, and whir, 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 3 turns, and the wheel was full. Then he put another on, and whir, 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 3 times round, and the second was full too. And so it went on until the morning, when all the straw was spun, and all the reels were full of gold. By daybreak the king was already there, and when he saw the gold he was astonished and delighted, but his heart became only more greedy. He had the miller's daughter taken into another room full of straw, which was much larger, and commanded her to spin that also in one night, if she valued her life. girl knew not how to help herself, and she cried. When the door opened again, and the little man appeared, he said, "What will you give me if I spin that straw into gold for you?" "The ring on my finger," answered the girl. The little man took her ring, again began to turn the wheel, and by morning had spun all the straw into glittering gold. The king rejoiced beyond measure at the sight, but still he had not gold enough, and he had the miller's daughter taken into a still larger room full of straw, and he said, "You must spin this too, in the course of this one night, but if you succeed, you shall be my wife." Even if she be a miller's daughter, thought he, I could not find a richer wife in the whole world. When the girl was alone, the little man came again for the third time, and he said, "What will you give me if I spin the straw for you this time as well?" "I have nothing left to give," answered the girl. "Then promise me, if you should become queen, you'll give me your first child." The miller's daughter thought to herself that might never happen, and, not knowing how else to help herself in this dire straits, she promised the little man what he wanted, and for that he once more spun the straw into gold. And when the king came in the morning and found all as he had wished, he took her in marriage, and the pretty miller's daughter became a queen. 1 year later, she brought a beautiful child into the world, and she never gave a thought to the little man. But suddenly he came into her room and he said, "Now you will give me what you have promised." The queen was horror-struck and offered the little man all the riches of the kingdom if he would leave her the child. But the little man said, "No, something alive is dearer to me than all the treasures in the world." Then the queen began to lament and cry, so that the little man pitied her. "I will give you 3 days' time," said he. "If by that time you find out my name, then you shall keep your child." So the queen thought the whole night of all the names that she had ever heard, and she sent a messenger over the country to inquire far and wide for any other names that there might be. When the man came the next day, she began with Robert, Bernard, Dwayne, Devon, Casper, Balthazar, and said all the names she knew, one after another. But to every one the little man said, "That is not my name." On the second day she had inquiries made in the neighborhood as to the names of the people there, and she repeated to the little man the most uncommon and curious of them all. "Perhaps your name is Short Ribs, or Sheepskinks." But he always answered, "That is not my name." On the third day the messenger came back again and said, "I have not been able to find a single new name, but as I came to a high mountain at the end of the forest, where the fox and the hare bid each other good night, there I saw a little house, and before the house a fire was burning, and round about the fire quite a ridiculous little man was jumping. He hopped upon one leg, and he shouted, 'Today I make, tomorrow brew, the next I'll have the young queen's child. Ah, glad that I no one knew that Rumpelstiltskin I am styled.' You may imagine how glad the queen was when she heard this name. And when soon afterwards the little man came, he asked, Now, Mistress Queen, what is my name? At first, she said, Is your name Chris? No. Is your name Jason? No. Well then, perhaps your name is Rumpelstiltskin. The devil has told you that. The devil must have told you that, cried the little man, and in his anger he plunged his right foot so deep into the earth that his whole leg went in, and then in rage he pulled at his left leg so hard with both hands that he tore himself in two. And thus ends the tale of Rumpelstiltskin. Thank you for listening today. Please take a moment, relax, and breathe. And as always, sweet and creepy dreams to you, my darling.